Welcome to the Emotional Abuse and the Power of Naked Truth. Are you a future emotional abuse coach? Emotional abuse is the hidden problem that is spreading all over at a very fast pace. And if you don't know what it's like, I invite you to stay and find out more because there's something, I think, for everyone. Emotional abuse is one of those problems that is so hard to detect and that needs people that are awake and alert about it. They can do something about it. They can fight a good fight for this cause. What we're going to see during this time is some of the causes and some of the effects. Emotional abuse is too much of a complex matter, and so we don't have enough time and space here to cover everything. But what we want to do is to understand the negativity about, about emotional abuse and what it can cause to those who are affected by it. There are five main points that we're going to cover today. One is toxic relationships. Another one is narcissism, the difference between covert narcissist and overt narcissist. And then two of the main effects, which are PTD, which means post-traumatic disorder, and trauma bonding. But before we go on, I want to stop a moment and ask you to reflect on this question. Have you ever experienced emotional abuse? And if it's all possible, get some pen and paper out and write down the first thing that comes to your mind. What was your own experience about emotional abuse? Now, I want to go over two possible options, two possible scenarios. One option is that you have had a similar experience. Maybe you had a narcissistic partner, maybe you had a demanding boss, maybe you have what you thought was a close friend that out of nowhere seemed to stab you in the back, or other people that seem to take advantage of you or that make you feel ill and you can't exactly pinpoint what the problem is. Now, option two is that you think you never experienced it and maybe you don't even know or never heard about emotional abuse because actually is a relative new discovery. There's very little material, study material, research material uh, about this topic. It just came out very recently, and now a lot of people are talking about it and exposing this evil trend. And still, whether you experience it or not, there is a great need for you to learn about it. And possibly, if you are an empathic person, you might want to be on the team of people that fight against this evil in the world that is multiplying at a very fast pace. So, who am I and why you should be listening to me? My name is Maria Quaroli. If you don't know me, I'm Italian and you might tell from the way I speak. But I've been a coach since 2009. I graduated after studying with the ICA, International Coach Academy, and then later on I also took a course to become a trainer with the International Instruction Coaching Studies and a master as a relationship coach and parenting coach. Now, having said that, I was also for over 35 years a missionary, and that brought me close to many people who were dealing with deep suffering due to physical abuse or due to grief and loss of loved ones, due to terminal illnesses or addictions. So I got to meet people from all walks of life experiencing deep grief, deep sorrow, many of whom were dysfunctional. And it was a marvel to me to see how far can go a little attention, a little love, a listening ear. It can make wonders. And that led almost automatically to coaching once coaching exploded as a new profession, because it helped me to translate all this experience into a profession, which can be of great help to functional people as well, because everybody has to deal with suffering sometime in life, and coaching offers great benefits and precious instruments to surmount any obstacle in your way. Come out on the winning side, be successful in your life. I become also a public speaker, and my passion since the past 2 years has been towards emotional abuse, because I've been through it myself for 13 years after a demanding narcissistic boss, and for 21 years with a narcissistic partner. So I know what I'm talking about, but I didn't know until I learned what narcissism and emotional abuse meant. I didn't know because it's so hard to detect, and I'll tell you how in a little bit. So it has become my passion, and I've seen how emotional abuse has been, it's a great need that is expanding all over. It's been said that at least um, 1 on 20 people suffers from narcissistic personality disorder, but it's growing. And some people said that has become up to 1 in 7. So it's alarming, the rate with which is expanding, and we really need to do something about it. And you can do something about it if you don't know what we're talking about. So the first point is, I want you to take a honest look to your own reality, to take a good reality check and ask yourself what's happening in your own world. Because toxic relationships don't have to be narcissistic in nature. Each one of us can be toxic. I've, I've been having problems last week with the connection and Wi-Fi, and I became toxic because I was overreacting to this problem. And just to say that each one of us, because we're human, we can have negative behaviors once in a while. What happens is, if we don't control them, if we just let them run wild, it becomes rampant and it can poison the whole relationship. So it takes self-discipline, it takes self-control to take a good look at ourselves, even on a daily basis, and see how we're doing, so that the negativity doesn't spill in and ruins and spoils the whole relationship. Even if you have little, what they're called little foxes that spoil your vine, little attitudes that are not kept in check, they can ruin even the best relationship. So toxicity is something that we need to be aware of. And as I said before, you don't need to be a narcissistic to be a toxic person. But the good news are that if you have toxic attitudes, you can change them. You can do something about it, and that's where coaching or counseling or therapy come through, because they can help you to develop the right habits and the right mindset, and to gain the right skills to handle these toxic attitudes and change them, make them become good habits, empowering mindsets that can build love, strengthen relationships, whether it's in your work arena, or it's in your family, or it's with your loved one. Narcissism, what is so dangerous about it? Narcissism is a great deceit. It's what you call wolves clothed in sheepskin. It's these dangerous people that can seem so harmless, so sweet, even so empathic because they have a dose of empathy. But that empathy is a mask to get you to trust them, to get you to open up to them, and become oblivious of their problems and their behaviors. So, this is why it's so pervasive. People are not able to discern a narcissistic person unless they're knowledgeable about this matter. And it's a great deceit. And it can happen with a boss or with a colleague that may be friendly on the outside, but inside is looking for a way to hinder your work, to sabotage your efforts. So you need to be on the lookout. You need to know. And this doesn't mean I don't want you to become hardened. I don't want you to become uh, people who withhold their trust. But yes, I want you to be aware of the red flags that a narcissistic person can show up from the very beginning. Now, there are two types of narcissistic people. One is covert and one is overt. Then it's much more complex than that, but I'm not a therapist, so I just will dwell on the main, most evident, simple ways to detect a narcissistic person. The covert is really the most subtle and, in a way, the most deceiving because it can come with uh, an appearance of a good person. And in this way, it can fool you, it can make you think is actually some not only a nice person, but the best person you have ever met. A person that is caring, that is attentive to what you're saying, attentive to your needs, but it's only a facade to get you get to know you, get you to open up to them so they can get your innermost secrets and use them against you. The overt narcissist is openly aggressive, is openly overbearing. It acts like a demanding boss, usually, whether in your love relationship or in your work environment or as a friend. It acts really entitled and like everybody is there to owe in something. But what happens is that both are dangerous, even if one is more evident than the other. It's hard to put a defense front and not to be overtaken by them if you don't know your stuff. They're both dangerous to your emotional health because the more space you give them into your life, the more they can enter in and take over. So, what are some of the effects? What happens to a person that has to deal for a long time with a narcissistic person? The PTD, the post traumatic disorder, is what soldiers experience once they return to their homeland after being in the field of war. They still experience anguish, they burst into irrational reactions because they have not been able to properly process what they've gone through. They have experienced so much trauma, they were not able to elaborate it, to realize what really happened to them. And so that leaves a sign in their life, in their hearts, in their minds, from which is very complicated to recover. And they need special attention. They need focused work to be able to understand what has happened to them so that it doesn't impair their present life. And what happens with emotional abuse, because it doesn't leave scars or physical signs of harm, is so difficult to detect it. So a lot of people, a lot of victims don't realize what's happening to them. And this is what happened to me. I didn't realize I had an enemy beside me because he seemed caring. He seemed like he was on my side. I didn't realize he was covertly working against me, behind my back, speaking ill about me, and doing the opposite of what it was required of him to do and what was agreed upon. So I thought he was doing what he was saying he was doing, and he was doing exactly the opposite. So I discovered he had completely a dark life behind my back, doing all kinds of illegal, illicit things, and he has said lies all the way through without me being able to detect it because I thought it was a good person. That's how bad it is. So you might think, well, these people are just, people that stay with narcissistic people are totally naive. They don't know what's happening because they don't get it. But it's not that simple. It's not that easy. And anyone who's had experiences with emotional abuse know what I'm saying. It's just so hard to detect it because you think that person is a caring person towards you, is somebody who loves you, or is a real friend, or is part of your family. And unless it's an overly narcissistic type of person, you may be totally deceived by the way he portrays himself with you. He's using a mask or many masks with you, and you won't know until the end who is for real the person that you have by your side. So this is how post-traumatic disorder works and works against you. Now there is another serious aspect about people who have been engaging themselves with narcissistic person, and is trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is the way they keep you attached to them because it's a sort of the Stockholm syndrome. You think that that kind of relationship is love, but it's not love. The person is mistreating you, is appearing nice to you only sporadically, but he knows a million ways to hurt you in a deep way, while you are perplexed, while you think is by your side, while you don't know what is really happening. So this is why it's so hard for you to let it go. If you don't realize, if you don't come to a full knowledge of how narcissistic abuse works, you're left hanging and you don't know how to cut it off. You don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to break loose. It's that bad. And people can hang on into this crazy situation for years without realizing it. So what happened is that if you are with a narcissistic person, you are inside of a maze and you don't see the way out. You fall into this crazy eight, this emotional loop that brings you up one time, then it brings you back another time. And you feel you're going somewhere, but then you realize that you're back to square one. And then you go, and then you come back. And it's this pull and push that takes you, keeps you a prisoner of this maze, keeps you trapped in this predator's spider web. He just wants to destroy you. And this is so hard to understand for somebody that you've been loving for years, that you're giving your all to for years. You can't figure it out that that person is there and wants to rob you of your joy of living. He wants to destroy you. He wants to make you crazy. He doesn't care about you. All he cares is all the narcissistic supply he can get from you. And unless you're not able to see that, you're not going to be able to do something about it. So, what is the power of naked truth? And why is so useful? The power of naked truth is, first of all, knowing for real who you are. You are not designed to be and stay a victim. You're not designed to accept forever a similar condition. You are made to be bold, audacious, to be a daring person, to be willing to get in the game and get out of your comfort zone and do something about it. It's the ability to become knowledgeable of the reality of emotional abuse, because it's an invisible threat to your life or to the life of those you love. And you can't stay indifferent. You have to do something about it, starting from yourself. Realize, have I ever been emotionally abused? And if so, what has happened to me? What are the repercussions? What are the things that have not been healed from my past and that are now hindering me in the present, even if I came out of an emotional abusive situation? So the power of naked truth is to stop saying lies to yourself. Stop excusing the narcissistic behavior because you still trust that person, you still love that person, and you have developed a habit of justifying him, and maybe even to give yourself the blame of it all. It was all your fault. Now, it's one thing to be able to identify what went wrong, what you did wrong, but it's not your fault if you fell into as a prey. What your fault is if you remain in these conditions once you know the truth. So the power of naked truth is the power to set you free from an emotional abuse condition, because you're going to be able to discern it, you're going to be able to call spade a spade, and not only to free yourself, but to free others along the way. Knowing the feeling. Something else that can happen if you don't know the full reality of emotional abuse and its consequences on the people that it touches is that you can lack of empathy towards the situation. It happened to me before because I didn't consider abuse something permanent or that could be so devastating, especially if it was just on an emotional level. I didn't consider even the victim state something that was really beyond your choice. Uh, Let me be clear about this. I never liked to be a victim, so I disliked people that were in the state, and I didn't realize that I was being a victim myself, or somebody that was maliciously using me. So the point is that you can lack empathy for people that are actually victims in this situation. But the thing is, the first requirement is to have a true compassion, and that either comes because you understand the problem and you lived it through yourself, or it comes from a deep understanding of what the other is going through. It comes from walking in their shoes and understanding what it can be like, even if you yourself have never experienced it. So you have to know where that person that has gone through emotional abuse comes from. Of course, it doesn't have to stay a victim. You have all the tools once you know emotional abuse and once you're familiar with coaching to not only overcome but overthrow the situation and become the the rules your own world. So what coaching can do for emotional abuse people is to paint a better picture of how their life can be once they're free from this pain, from this negativity and toxicity that is poisoning their whole being and existence, how they can transform. A lot of the problems for these abused people is they don't know for real what they want, because they've been accustomed to stay happy with what they had, which is a lot of unhappiness. So you need to figure out what you want, and you need to be able to help them to paint the picture of what they want. And this has real transforming power. The next thing to know is that new mindsets provide you with a new life, with a new environment. You learn to become a change influencer yourself because you have been able to change your own life. So you've been able to extract that positivity to into every other area of your life, into every other environment. You can be a change agent if you are able to gain new mindsets. Because if you keep living in a victim mindset, there is no much progress. There is no possibility for a new life and new start. If you don't change the mindset that have taken you into this trap, you will not be able to set new boundaries for yourself. You will not be able to advance, and you might expose yourself to further abuse. So this is a must for you to acquire new mindsets. And another thing that brings a lot of joy and happiness into your life, a lot of fulfillment, and a lot of new results is to be able to get in the game and gain new skill sets. There's so much that we need to learn, and this is such a great opportunity for you to master new people skills. Starting to have a better relationship with yourself, starting to regain your identity and your self-esteem and confidence, they might be have and trampled over from the narcissistic abuser. And coaching offers you a whole toolkit, a great arsenal of new weapons for you to fire away at the enemy's attacks and start building your own future just the way you want it and desire it. So, coaching is full of benefits because it brings clarity that you can't obtain otherwise. It brings you a capacity to get into positive action that would otherwise keep you stuck in doing the same things, falling into the same patterns, and that keep you stuck into a real emotional prison. So, knowing and becoming knowledgeable about emotional abuse, plus learning about coaching skills, coaching tools, it's a powerful combination to bring empowerment and transformation in your own mind. So, what is the Python and I, and how can you get liberated and stay free from the coils of emotional abuse? The Python and I is a monthly membership sort of thing. It's a monthly commitment to reserve some time for you to study about emotional abuse and how you can coach yourself and others through it. It's 12 modules, one per month, and 2 monthly calls. One great thing about emotional abuse coach training is that you already have a specific niche. And sometimes with people that study coaching, one of the greatest struggle is to find the right niche. But emotional abuse is such a growing problem that really needs attention. There are so many people that need support in this way, and so there you have it, a specific niche. You don't have to look hard for it because it's right by your next door, if not right in your home. You have something to do right away. Emotional abuse coach training comes with exclusive coaching tools reserved just for this arena. And so it is a complex subject, but by giving yourself the space of 1 year, you have the possibility to experience them yourselves and see how they work and go at a great pace, whatever is that you're doing, however busy your life can be, you can reserve some time for yourself to grow in this arena, take an appointment, and it's going to be beneficial 100% for you, because we've all probably gone through some emotional abuse that we didn't realize it, and so we were not able to heal it properly, we're not able to recover from it, and so we couldn't grow because of it. But if you do use the power of naked truth, you're going to be able to see exactly where you were hurt, how you were hurt, if you were broken, and how can put your life together in an extremely empowered way. So there are going to be 12 coach training modules starting from the 11th of March, and it's going to be 11 beginning with the voice of the imposter. When the imposter speaks, what is his voice saying to you? And sometimes the imposter can be the person with a narcissistic disorder, but sometimes it can be coming from deep within, the voice of somebody in your life that has conditioning you, that has been a detrimental influence, and you didn't know how to stop it or how to use it for you and not against you. So this is a great first training. And if you don't like it, you can, unsubscribe whenever, but you can start enrolling right away and get this priceless training about discovering the imposter's voice. You will have personalized follow-up emails. You will be a part of a Facebook private group where you can post your questions and you can find you can actively participate into the conversation that will lead to the coaching call. And so we can bring those questions into our coaching call and make them part of our training. So we'll have this twice a month coach training calls. You will have the call audio recording even if you're not able to participate, and at the end you will have a coaching program certification. All this for 59 euros each month, or 647 if you want to have one payment. For anything else, you can go to my page, mariaquarolicoaching.com, emotional abuse coaching, or you can contact me to ask any more info that you may need, any question you might have, anything I can help you with. Don't hesitate to contact me. And I'll see you soon, sending you a big hug. Bye.